Hey YouTube, thanks for clicking on this video. Today we're going to be talking about several companies to watch not only this week, but for the next several weeks. A lot of big things have happened today, and without making this type of video that's suspenseful, I'm going to get right into it. The big company that we're talking about today is Apple, and I know that's probably a lot of videos today about Apple, but I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, talk about the pros, the cons, a little bit what they talked about, but how this is mostly going to affect the stock itself, as well as some other stocks that kind of deal with Apple. And the biggest thing with the Apple's keynote is that they did talk about iOS 14, and they talked about a lot of things that they want to bring, or that they are bringing to the new iOS, as well as a lot of key features that, since they focused on kind of app development across everything between their computers, iPads, and their iPhones. One of the biggest things they talked about was kind of their chipsets and the chips that they use inside their computers. Now, as far as iPads and iPhones, they have been using their own chips that they've been making for, I believe, over 10 years now, for a very long time, so they're very good at it. But they're going to start putting those chips in their actual Apple computers. Now, that is a huge deal and is a huge step for Apple. And based on what I was able to read, that they want into the next, pretty much for the next 2 years, have pretty much all of their computers and actually all of their devices to have nothing but Apple chips in them. So that is amazing for Apple, but not necessarily amazing for some other companies. And I'll mention those and kind of what's going to go on with that in just a moment. But I just want to focus on their chipset and how this is going to be a big deal. Now, since they are going to have pretty much full control of their software and almost of all of their hardware, this is supposed to make kind of a more fluent and just better experience for all the users, as well as just more efficient. And that's kind of a big deal and something that they've talked about actually quite a bit in their keynote. It's talking about how efficient these chips are, and how with them having full control and them knowing their products and what they need and how fast that they innovate, it just seems like the best idea for them to go forward with them making their own chips and being able to develop them. And basically their track record has been amazing, so I'm actually excited to see how this is going to go. It is a pretty huge transition actually at that, but they have pretty much, what it seems like, thought about almost everything that could happen and put a lot of safeguards in place to make it as a easy and fluent transition as possible, which overall is smart, and again, obviously smart on their end, because that right there makes it even better for them, because you do not want to have issues when you do something like this, because that could really hurt the company if the next thing you hear them transition to their chips, but yet nothing works with their software, because that does the total opposite of what they want to do. Now, with that all being said, that is amazing news for Apple, and it even showed with their stock pricing today. They did go up overall a decent amount for their stock, so that is good news for them. Now, kind of some of the areas of concern for some of the other stocks and some others, and again, the ones that you also want to watch this, for this week and several weeks, is going to be Intel. Intel was the company that was providing these chips to Apple for their computers, again, their iMac line, their Pro lines and stuff like that. So this is going to be a key thing as far as transitioning them out. And again, it's going to take some time, but they look like they've already thought of this for several years, and since they've been making chips for a while, this seems to be like it should be a pretty big transition, but it seems like it's going to be hurting Intel, and I'm sure losing them billions of dollars, and that's going to be one thing to really be keeping an eye on is Intel. Now, they're not like the only people to make, Intel's not the only company that provides processors to Apple. They do provide them to pretty much everybody, so this is not, again, the biggest deal for Intel. And I know Intel's big on like 5G and stuff like that, but Apple was a really huge company that supported them, and again, it was a big revenue generator for Intel. So that's gonna be one of the stocks that I'll be watching as well. And then another stock is gonna be AMD. Now, they didn't really talk too much about this. Again, they did mention it, but it didn't seem like it was as emphasized, and that was gonna be as far as their graphics. Now, AMD is pretty much who they use for their graphics, and based on, I'm sure that they're going to be transitioning those out again with their processors as well, and with their new chipsets. So pretty much at this time, that's probably going to be another stock that I'm going to be watching to see how it is going to be affected by Apple and them being transitioned. Now, they might not be too affected as quickly as Intel from what I can see, but it's definitely going to be something to watch and to see how their stock is going to be, performing and affected by Apple's transition to using their own chips. So the big thing is going to be to watch Apple to see how they progress with the transition and to see how everything kind of flows through. Like I said, they had a lot of safeguards in there to make sure everything did transfer pretty smooth, but you just never know. Overall, I see this as a big deal and a big win for Apple to save them not only a ton of money, but for them to give them even more control over their product, which is always a amazing thing for a company. It can only make them better. And if you guys can, give this video a thumbs up if you guys like the video. Leave a comment below about any stocks you want me to talk about or what your thoughts are about these companies, as well as subscribe and turn that notifications button so when I post a video, you guys will be notified. I try to post a video at least once a week. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.